What the hell is going on with GPU news right now? Why are more GPUs trying to light themselves on fire? What is happening with the RTX 4070 Ti situation? And what other cards are Nvidia planning to release that are obviously another dirty tactic to screw people out of money? These are all unfortunately extremely valid questions, given everything that's going on with the GPU market right now. And given what we know, I'm not sure that it's going to get better before it gets worse. So today, we're covering major updates and my take on the RX 7900 XTX overheating issue and the controversy around the RTX 4070 Ti. There is a lot that we need to talk about, and I have some personal grievances I need to get off my chest because I'm becoming increasingly upset with this pattern of behavior that is extremely damaging to the entire PC gaming community. So GPU news and updates? Let me explain. But before we get into that, let me show you something I think you're really going to like. The fundamental reason why I make videos for you to enjoy is because I love to learn. And if you're watching this, you probably love learning too, about topics and hobbies that really excite you. But I'm not talking about this kind of learning. I'm talking about the new wedgie-free way of learning that's better for your brain and your butt. I've been using Skillshare for about 6 months now, and I can't recommend it enough, especially when it's free. Animation, film and video, web development, and many more categories with thousands of classes to choose from, taught by some of the best professionals and industry leaders, like advanced video editing with Premiere Pro by Jordi Vanderput, which has helped me advance my ability and make better content for you guys. So whatever your passion, your career aspirations, or your business idea, browse the classes below and start your journey today with a free 30-day trial of Skillshare. But this offer is only for the first 1,000 people to click on the sponsor link in the video description. So get them while they last and make today the day you get on your path to success. So I'm sure many of you guys have heard about some of the recent GPU news at the moment, and we're going to be discussing a few of these issues a lot deeper in this video. But a recap for those of you that have missed it, Nvidia's current generation cards so far are the RTX 4090, 4080, a couple 3000 series cards for some reason, and the RTX 4070 Ti, which was going to be called the RTX 4080 12GB, but honestly that was going to get them into significant legal trouble if they didn't change the name. And with the drop in name came a drop in price, from $899 to $799. So because I can do simple math, clearly you're saving, well, not $100. And there is so much more to that story. Additionally, if you do end up with a current generation Nvidia card, you may be concerned about the new 12-volt high power connector, melting itself and the card it's attached to. Though updates on this story do suggest that it's a significantly lower percentage than originally thought. But AMD aren't looking so good either. The new RX 7900 XT and XTX have been released, and they are a fantastic advancement in GPU architecture design, with the more expensive XTX model being surprisingly the better value card, when it's not trying to kill itself. More on that in a bit. But the current generation isn't the only new thing on the market, and you can buy the brand new RTX 3060 with 1/3 less memory, same price, less performance. Or the brand new 3060 Ti for the same price, upgraded memory with more performance. So clearly there is a lot we need to talk about. And let's dive deeper into the AMD overheating issues and the Nvidia launch. So before we discuss the 4070 Ti and the Nvidia controversy, we need to cover AMD's new top-end card that would rather cook you a meal than play any more games. Buyers of the RX 7900 XTX have been reporting extremely high hotspot temperatures, right up to the 110-degree mark. But the high temperatures are not the whole issue here. And although 110 degrees does sound scary, we've been seeing a shift in the industry to maximize performance by implementing advanced boosting technologies. This type of implementation takes advantage of thermal and power headroom to dynamically give you the best performance. And this strategy is typically a good thing. However, what the 7900 XTX is doing isn't by design. It's a problem with the manufacturing of the cooler that can have the as marketed,
the world's fastest gaming card under $1,000.
Performing worse than an $800 previous gen 6900 XT. That is a big marketing and PR fail right there. As far as we know right now, this is only a problem with some of the XTX variant cards, not the 7900 XT, and specifically isolated to the $1,000 MSRP reference card that looks like this. So if you did want the fastest $1,000 GPU, as AMD claimed, this could be a real problem for you. And the difference between a good working card and a serious issue seems to be, well, this. Basically, The problem is mainly brought to light when the card is horizontally mounted, like this, which is more common for end users, and effective cards reach their 110-degree hotspot temperature while the edge temp of the card could be in the 60s or 70s. That temperature difference is going to be the biggest indicator as to whether your card is affected, and under normal circumstances, AMD state that they should expect to see the edge temperature in the 90s for that 110-degree hotspot temperature to make any sense. So the three biggest questions I have is, first and foremost, what is the issue with the cooler? Can it be fixed for owners or future buyers of this card? And will this affect other models in AMD's lineup, either the XT variant or future mid-range cards? Well, when this story was first coming to light, the issue seemed to be pretty obvious. By installing the card horizontally, there's a lot of weight underneath the PCB, and the difference between hotspot and edge temperature could easily be the cooler separating slightly away from the core, meaning that the small part of the GPU which isn't being cooled properly is heating up far too much, while the rest of the core is making good contact, which makes sense. Bad mount plus gravity equals bad hotspot temperature, but AMD doesn't think that that's the case. Upon further investigation and interviews with representatives, AMD states that they have isolated the issue to a small number of coolers with suboptimal water in their vapor chambers, which is used to transfer heat away from the heat source to then be dissipated. Now, I'm not a vapor chamber expert, but my first thought is, why wouldn't this also affect the edge temperature? If the fluid is still obviously making its way to the core, why is only the hotspot temperature high? And looking at the construction of the cooler, it could be a case that the fluid isn't making its way up these posts and then over to one of these locations, which are getting hotter than normal. But either way, if it is a problem with the fluid, AMD need to fix this issue in manufacturing for future buyers, and the only reasonable solution for owners right now is the replacement of a defective card, which AMD have actually been struggling to do with limited stock, and even refusing returns when this story was first coming to light. However, Scott Herkelman, AMD's SVP and General Manager for their graphics business unit, has publicly stated that they are taking this seriously, and you shouldn't have an issue with your replacement. So if you are impacted by this, hopefully AMD and their partners have been working on improving their process for these returns, which is speculated to be quite a large number of users, much higher than the 12-volt high power issue that Nvidia have been hit by. Speaking of, we need to talk about the RTX 4070 Ti and two more Nvidia GPUs that just got launched. Let me show you. The RTX 4070 Ti was recently released, as well as some other cards that didn't get as much media attention. You may remember that the 4070 Ti is actually the previously announced 4080 12GB, not to be confused with the 4080 16GB. And that was the entire point of why gamers pushed so hard for the name to be changed. When the 4070 Ti was first marketed as the 4080 12GB, it was quickly noted that the two 4080s shared very little in terms of specifications, and even Nvidia's own testing showed significant performance differences between the two, well beyond what you would expect from just a reduction in memory capacity. So ultimately, Nvidia tried to save this misstep by dropping the name and the price from $899 to $799. Still $200 more than the previous 3070 Ti and about $150 over inflation without considering other costs, for those of you that were wondering. But I want to discuss whether that $100 price reduction is even true. Because there isn't an Nvidia sold Founders Edition for the 4070 Ti, this means that we have to hope that board partners are going to be selling models at their $799 MSRP. And if cards are selling out and being scalped like we saw in the 4090 scalper video, that MSRP really isn't going to mean anything. But I have good news for you, as well as some bad. When I looked at pricing 2 days after launch, there are a lot of cards in stock, and I could even get an MSI Ventus for MSRP with $10 shipping. But that is literally one card. That's it. And from what I can tell, I am pretty lucky that I even saw that card at that price. Most videos that I've seen don't find an MSRP 4070 Ti. And looking at PC Part Picker, even if we ignore the two most expensive outliers, which are Amazon third-party scalpers, the average price that you'll be looking to pay is more likely to be $900. That's $100 over MSRP, and actually the original MSRP for the 4080 12GB. And part of me is pretty annoyed by this, but I do also understand that because there's no Founders Edition to compete with, this was bound to continue happening. And even if it was released at $899, we likely would be seeing the same pricing issue, just increased somewhat proportionally. It's just becoming very difficult to take the term MSRP seriously, when the likelihood of you getting that price is extremely slim. But ultimately, no. I don't think Nvidia cared that the community was upset about the 4080 12GB branding issue, and I honestly just think it got enough media attention that they could face significant legal issues over misleading marketing. And I say this because Nvidia has shown a pattern of doing this and not caring about the impact it has on gamers. There are several instances of them re-releasing the same model of card with lower performance to, in my opinion, intentionally mislead people again and again. The GTX 1060 3GB versus 6GB being a big one, and the new RTX 3060 8GB is also evidence of this. Same name, less performance. Why not just call it a 3050 Ti? Though, seriously, it's better than a 3050, worse than a 3060, with less memory. To me, they seem to want you to think that it's the same thing, which is the entire problem. And although they realistically did the opposite with the new G6X 3060 Ti, I would not be surprised if this was a long game legal strategy for the times that they've misled people in the opposite way. And this is especially true when talking about these lower end cards. You're going into a segment of the market where there are proportionately less enthusiasts, the type of people that keep up with this kind of thing. And I can't believe I have to say this, but the average gamer needs to be better protected, not less protected. So with everything going on this generation, including the increased prices, you should absolutely check out this ultimate $1,000 FPS wrecker of a PC. It may have a dirty little secret, but I honestly could not believe the hardware and the performance inside this beast. So check that out by clicking here, and remember guys, share, like, subscribe, they are always appreciated, and I hope you have an amazing day.